What do you think of the state of AEW right now? I mean, beyond, you've always had guys you don't like and everything else, but you've been able to look at the business and see what it is and see the people that fans may like that you don't. And we've been watching it for a while. So here we are now, 3 years into this thing, or over 3 years into this thing. What do you think of the state of AEW right now going into 2023?
Well, we pretty much have called all along that there was going to be problems eventually with the EVPs, and especially when it was time to move them aside because people had replaced them in the fans' hearts and minds, and or more fans, other fans have come along that don't care about their foolishness. Real fans of real mainstream stars. That's already happening. We knew that inexperience in the booking was going to be a big problem, and it's become obvious and blatant and much worse because at the start of the AEW, they didn't have any. You didn't see the evidence of guys getting over on their program and then having their legs cut off out from under them because it wasn't part of the plan, Smithers. But now we have. Wardlow gets over. They don't know what to do with him, keep him over. FTR gets over, even though they tried not to let him get over, so they bury him because of the Bucks. Punk drew them their $1 million gate, their $1 million fucking, or their million viewers and whatever, the million man. But the EVPs couldn't stand that because his presence was an exact rebuttal of everything that they think that wrestling is supposed to be in their screwed up fucking minds. The comedy clown show that they presented it as through their whole careers. That's what they were trying to do, but it didn't work. Not enough people want to see the comedy, silly clown fucking cheerleader wrestling with the girly men that look so fucking physically unintimidating. So, again, we saw this coming. I didn't know it was going to take this long. But you can't. They've done everything they can do to the human body. What angle are they going to do to hurt somebody or make somebody mad they want to come back and get even? It's just a car wreck every show. People being thrown through furniture and in the process really getting injured. And then it becomes, people are watching this to see who gets hurt and how. And so there's no leadership. The locker room is split apart into factions. There have already been actual fights. The yippiness and the smarminess of the fucking Bucks and Olivier, I don't think is going to be mitigated at all because they don't learn. They think they're right. They think they're stars. So they're going to be douchebags because douchebags are what douchebags are. So they're not going to be any help. Tony refuses to get help with booking. Most of their talent is injured or currently injured or suspended. And it's not like everybody couldn't see this coming because we've been talking about it. And it's not like we're the only ones. We just talk about it out loud more because everybody else wants a fucking job. So I don't know how any of this is a surprise. And I don't know how anybody can spin it as being anything positive.
Do you think AEW has lost a lot of the goodwill they had with AEW fans since the beginning?
Well, which ones? The fans of Twinkle Toes and the Hardly Boys, I'm sure, are somewhat upset that they can't see their artistry on TV on a regular basis. The fans that Punk brought back, they're pissed off. Even if he wasn't hurt, he'd still be suspended. So they're pissed, and now there's no Punk to get the... They did the $1.2 million for the couple of weeks after to see what was going to go on. Now they're seeing what's going to go on, and the numbers are starting to go back down again. So the Punk fans ain't happy. The fans of the Elite aren't happy. And just anybody just want to sit down and watch this program and enjoy it. You can't understand what's going on. You don't know what the fuck from one week to the other who you're going to see because people disappear, whether they get hurt or not. They just are unbooked. You can't follow anything. And it's the same thing. It's just chaos and a parody of wrestling now from the start of the show to the finish. Because everybody's doing the same shit, which is as much as they can possibly get away with in their matches to try to get over when now that's actually the least way you can get over now in AEW is to do something physical in the ring. Because everybody else is doing all this crazy shit and it just blends together. That's why MJF is the only standout.
And he wrestles the least.
Yeah, and he wrestles the least. And they would let him spit in their mouth if he wanted to.
Well, maybe not everyone. Maybe not everyone.
Well, it's him. It's him, and that he talks and that he fucking produces and that you can listen to him. And that somehow, since he got away from Jericho, he's avoided the bad booking that has gotten worse since then, that everybody else has fallen victim to. So, I don't know. I don't know what you do. I can't say what I would do if I was in that position because I never allowed myself to get in that position with this big of a fucking mess and this rotten of a fucking roster that half of them hate the other half, and he doesn't need half of them to begin with. But the half of them he thinks he needs are the half of them he ought to get rid of.
But when you look at Tony and the control he has over virtually everything with AEW, can you relate in a sense? I mean, if you look at Smoky Mountain Wrestling 3 years in, it was pretty impossible for you mentally at that point to give up anything to anyone because you knew you wouldn't fuck shit up, even if you wouldn't get any sleep and you'd eat like shit.
Yeah.
And you'd yell at people and beat up cars and all sorts of shit.
Yeah.
You knew you'd get your stuff done. It was hard for you to just hand off responsibility. You'd also been burned. Can you understand why Tony, and I'm not justifying it, but why Tony may not want to hand off more, let's say with the booking?
No.
Why it may be tough for him mentally to do that?
No, I can't. Because he doesn't know what he's doing. And people have obviously been telling him that.
No one's been telling him that.
I have.
You tell him that. Everyone else tells him he's great. You're going to win Booker of the Year.
But here's the thing. If I had suddenly in the middle of Smoky Mountain Wrestling bought a car lot and decided to start selling cars, and I ran a shitty car lot and I couldn't sell any cars, you know what? I would have said, you know why? It's because I don't know how to sell cars and I've never owned a car lot and I'm the shits at it. So I'll hire me some car salesmen to sell my cars. If I started doing anything that I'd never done before, and I was obviously the shits at it, by just observably looking at what was going on, I would have somebody else do that. So the only thing that I've ever been good at really in my life is wrestling. So that's why I did all that shit. But in any other fucking endeavor whatsoever, from trying to put a fucking electric fan together that I bought off Amazon that took me an hour and a half about 3 weeks ago, and I never got it accomplished, and I ended up just giving it to the Monroes because I didn't want to look at it anymore. There's a lot of shit that I have no fucking idea how to do and can't do, and recognize that. And that's why I don't try to do it. Wrestling's not been one of those, but a lot of other things have. But Tony, with the Jaguars, the football, the soccer, whatever it is you're good at, wrestling booking ain't it. And that's why I cannot identify with somebody who insists on doing something they've never done before and they're not any good at, and it's observable that their fucking work sucks and makes no sense, and they still want to do it anyway. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, but look, they've drawn this money. And that. No, none of the booking has drawn any of this money with AEW. What's drawn the money with AEW, every single gate, every single pay-per-view, everything they've done is that they had the backing the money and the contacts to get on television and to sign the names that they signed and to fucking rent the buildings they've rented. And that comes down to Tony Khan being, if you want to give it to him, a great promoter for making all those things happen and also for having $1 billion. I'm not sure how much of his talent you can attribute that to, or maybe just lucky genetics. But he got the TV, he's rented the buildings, he signed the stars. And the people were so ready to see somebody fuck with Vince McMahon that they have supported this. I'm not denying any of those things. But the wrestling booking in AEW from the start has been absolutely abysmal, totally rotten, and contributed nothing to the business that they've done. They didn't sell one ticket in the last 3 years that they wouldn't have sold already, regardless of what the fucking booking was, except that if it had been good from the start, I believe they might have even be doing better right now. Because if the booking had been good from the start, people wouldn't be mad about how they've been used. People wouldn't be mad about being left off television. If the booking had been good at the start, the EVPs that have caused all this trouble wouldn't actually be EVPs, because Tony, if he was a good booker, would have also known not to give active wrestlers that kind of power. So they actually might be doing better right now, because the only thing that they haven't had, they've had the TV, they've had the buildings, they've had the pay-per-view, they've had the contacts, and they've got a talent roster with names, just some big names and some weird names and some, why the fuck would you hire this guy? But they've got a roster. The only thing they haven't had and never have had is any kind of logical, coherent booking to get new stars over and further things from one place to another. That's been haphazard, stupid, illogical, nonsensical, and chaotic at best. That's my summation of AEW.
All right. Well, if you had to take a guess on how many run-ins there would be on the next Dynamite, what would you guess?
Well, I'll tell you what, if I had to come up with a transition for you that would transition you from what we were talking about to one of our fine sponsors, I would say that I would guess that they're going to do it in every single match. And if Prize Picks would take betting on AEW wrestling, I could clean up because I'd be right. However, they will not do that because it'd be too easy. But folks, our friends at Prize Picks will let you make entries on all the player projections in their daily fantasy business, and you can win some money out of it. That's because Prize Picks offers projections on any sport that you watch: NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, PGA, college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball. Do they have women's college football? That would be interesting. What about women's grade school football? Also soccer,
No.
WNBA, esports, NASCAR, tennis, MMA, boxing, Euro basketball, cricket, and disc golf, as well as yo-yoing, which can sometimes be competitive. Folks, at Prize Picks, you can make entries within 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. You just go up to the window in the back, you flip the fucking lock, you cut a hole in the screen.
No.
You're in the house.
No,
Entries can be made in 60 seconds.
Entries are made digitally, online, very easily and safe, and you are safe in your home.
Yes, safe and fast withdrawals as well. You can withdraw. As a matter of fact, if you withdraw quickly enough, she won't get pregnant. And they're currently operational, folks, Prize Picks, that is, in over 30 states and Canada, which means that almost 20 states have still not found out what the scoop is and how to get in on this. But I'm telling you what, let's say, for example, your favorite baseball player, let's say Lou Gehrig. Let's say you think that he's going to hit 7 home runs in a game that night against the Toledo Mud Hens. See, this is basketball, Brian, or baseball, because I know you like the baseball. So if Lou Gehrig, you think, is going to hit 7 home runs against the Toledo Mud Hens, then you just make an entry saying that you think that's what's going to happen. And it's, as we mentioned, safe and fast. And if he does hit 7 home runs against the Toledo Mud Hens, then they send you money. Is that how that works?
I'm not exactly sure what you just said.
Well, in that case, folks, that's how it works. And right now, you can download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play the daily fantasy sports. And it's always good to have a fantasy every day, especially if it revolves around crotchless stuff. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 if you use the promo code JCE. That's how you know that you're in fine form there. If you use the promo code JCE, they will give you whatever kind of money that you put in. They'll match it. See, so just go crazy. Put all your money in there. Think about this. If you have $100,000 and you put $100,000 in and they match that, well, if you won, well, that would just be swell. But they won't do that because they only match up to $100 because they're not stupid at Prize Picks. But don't forget to enter the promo code JCE at sign up for an instant deposit match up to the aforementioned $100. And then if you're right and you beat these projections, then you will win up to 10 times your money. Is that correct, Brian Last?
Potentially.
Potentially. It's all subject to debate, happenstance, and chance. Randomness plays a part in this, but you could come out with some money.
That's right. You could come out with money. Of course, it all depends on how you do against the numbers with Prize Picks.
And the projections.
And the projections. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, you could come out brokering a broke dick dog, too, but things happen.
Things happen.
Things happen
with Prize
life.
Picks.
And you can never be fully sure. So embrace everyone and tell them you love them and go to Prize Picks right now. You may not have a chance to do it tomorrow.
And what's that website again?
prizepicks.com, or download the app. What would you think if you got hit by a truck and killed tomorrow and you had not had the chance to go to Prize Picks? You would be miserable for the rest of your death.
Well, I don't want to comment on that, but Prize Picks.